Hello everyone. I'm right here in my neighborhood park and I'm in this swing or this swing has been tied to this pole and this tree. So I thought why don't I just make a video here. So what do I want to talk about? Well, today's topic is very special to me and if you guys have been following news in media then you guys know last 2 weeks or last 1 week or month, two billionaires went to the space. One was Richard Branson, company is Virgin Galactic, and that company had a space launch with they had four passengers, and they had around they reached to 85 miles up in the space, and from the sea level. So from there, I think from the 85 miles, you can actually see the edge of the universe, and you're far enough at the height that you can actually peek into the our galaxy, and you can see the overview effect. And the second one is very famous guy. Everyone knows him. He was the CEO of an Amazon, Jeff Bezos, and he also went to the space with I think another three passengers, and they actually went above the Kármán line, which was around more than 100 kilometers above the sea level. And I'm really excited about this. Why? Because I'm that nerd who is actually really interested into the space, and I was the student in the college who always not in the college but in the school who always bugged their teachers about the space, you know, planets and galaxies, and nobody has answers for me back then in my schools, and I was fascinated by the space. And for me, this is really exciting news. Do you know why? Because my wife, when I met my wife and we were pretty much talking every day, she asked me one question: what do you think your future would look like? And I actually told her, if I get a chance to go to Mars, I'm gonna go settle there. So I'm that enthusiastic about the space, and this was really good news for me. You know why? Because I can see that in my lifetime. See, I was not actually alive in the 1967 when Neil Armstrong went to the moon and America had the moon landing, and it was pretty much exciting time, and people actually dreamed back then that everyone will go to the space, they will land on the moons and they will live on the moons, maybe they will have vacations on the Mars, and they'll do this wild things, yes. And I like to do those things someday in my lifetime, and this is why I'm really excited about the space. Also, let's say my hobbies, and my curiosity aside, I'm also an investor in Virgin Galactic, and I'm a big fan of it. Why? You know, I always say to my friends or my family members who ask me for an advice which company they should look into it when it comes to an investment. And I always tell them, play to your strength and find out what are your core values. So space, is one of my core values. Well, uh, you know, I want to tell you one thing. This is a risky market. Why? Because before this there was only one company who were able to successfully land the rockets vertically, and that's the SpaceX. And Virgin Galactic was the second one. They have been doing this rocket launchers, they have been planning to do this space tourism for 15 years, and they had so many failures along the way, and there were also two flight crashes, and I think one or two people died. So this is not easy, guys. And even if you want to think about investment, do you think this is a safe investment, like putting your money into Google and Facebook stocks? No. Why? Because those companies like Google and Facebook and Amazon has proven that they can earn money, they can create the value for the customers. They can create a product for the customers. Customer will actually order it, and you can see it within 2 days at your doorstep. Or if it's a digital service, you can just immediately use it in a 10 or 15 minutes. While when it comes to space, all these things, yes, it's exponentially hard, and you need so much more money to even implement these smaller vehicles. Just look at the comparison between SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Virgin Galactic. SpaceX is actually able to launch the vehicles, and I think they can go to more than 1,000 miles. Yes, they can able to deliver the payload to space stations, and it's way above than 100 kilometers or 87 kilometers, which Blue Origin and Virgin Galactic was able to achieve respectively. So this is really hard things, and you know why I invested into the space stocks is because I love space. Yes, and there is also one rule that if you wanna make good money, yes, you have to take risky bets. And while space stocks actually climbed to $60 and it was falling down from $60 to 50 to 40 to 30 to 20 and finally $15, every step of the way I was doubling down on the stocks, and I was actually buying options, I was buying stocks until the price 20, because I really love this field, and I want to be that guy someday in far future, maybe in 20 years, in 10 20 years, where I want to visit myself, you know, I can actually dream myself using these vehicles and probably go to the trip around the moon. I don't want to just go to the space. I want to actually go to the space and maybe go to around the moon, round the trip, or go to the Mars and do those kind of exercises and do those kind of trips. And this would be life-changing moment for myself, and because I am science nerd, you know, I'm science geek, and I do extensive research in the science, and I read a lot of articles. I'm interested into black holes, I'm interested into the dark energy, universe, planets, and the laws, how the planets circle around the sun, and all these things. And this entire field excites me, and since I am pretty much interested into all these things, I know where to put my money, and I'm willing to accept the risk that even if I put my money into it, I would absolutely lose this money. And even if I lose it, you know, there would be that sweet pain that, oh, this company tried to do something crazy and they tried to make it there, but they failed. But they failed higher than anyone else could have been. Yes, so this was a pretty much good milestone in their journey, and I loved it, you know. And now I think this would be a moment like a cell phone. You know, maybe 30, 40 years ago there was a one cell phone, and maybe only rich people used to afford this. But there would comes a time after 10, 15 years, or maybe even a 30 years, that everyone, like people like you and me, can afford a smartphones. And you can just do the mathematical calculations that when actually Apple launched the phone, at that time, you know, Apple was not a luxury. Your Apple iPhone was not a luxury that only billionaires can afford it. It was just a, I think, $500 or $400 phone. Anyone can afford it. Anyone can afford it, because even back then there were millions of people who were getting paid more than $2,000, $3,000 per month. You know, their salary was that much that they can pretty much easily afford the iPhones. So I think this might be the moment where, from going forward, the cost of going to the space will exponentially reduce, and I just hope that someday I can have a luxury of going to the space with me, my wife, and my children. And if I can afford to give them a gift of looking at the galaxy and horizon and moon from the close-up views, that would be something. Yes, and that would be inspiring for my children and myself also, and my wife can see all these things. That's what I dream of doing some day in the far future. Also, let's say when Jeff Bezos went to the space, people were spreading a lot of negative news about him on the social media. Well, you know, I think he didn't do anything wrong, and he should be actually commended for building up this company. And okay, his wording was wrong, and try to the way he tried to frame it in the media was wrong. Maybe he was so happy that right after the trip in the conference, he tried to some of the words just slip through his mouth. And let's say if I wanna say one thing, I wanted to invest into the SpaceX, but the valuation of a SpaceX was so high. It's like 90 or $100 billion now, and every time when there was an opportunity to invest into the SpaceX, it was always private funding. So I had to go through some third party, and the cap was always like $25,000 or $30,000 or $40,000, which I couldn't afford back then. And it was my dream of holding uh, equity of some company who's trying to actively go to the space. And Virgin Galactic was the first one. I have no issue with Jeff Bezos. If, let's say, Blue Origin was a public company, I would have definitely held the stock of that company also. Also, there is another company, Astra. I also love them. There are very few companies who are actually trying to build the rockets and try to go to the space. So, uh, Rocket Lab is one more, and Astra is one more, and Space, Space stock, Virgin Galactic. I own stock of all these companies, and this is my core area. And I just wanted to share with you that uh, let's stop the spreading the negative news. Let's hope that someday people like you and me, maybe just putting a $10,000 down payment, we will have a trip of our lifetime. And that's the message from today. And if you guys like this video, then please subscribe and send me the comment. What do you guys think about this achievement of our humankind? And I'll see you tomorrow or next day with brand new day and brand new video. Until then, bye.